Understanding carbon accounting doesn't have to be complicated, nor does it require a background in science or finance. At its core, carbon accounting is simply a way for organizations, businesses, governments, even communities, to measure, track, and manage the amount of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases they produce. Why does this matter? Because knowing your carbon footprint is the first, most important step toward taking climate action and making better environmental decisions. Let's break it down with a relatable example. Imagine your company's carbon footprint like the waste your office produces in a week. Every time someone prints something, makes a cup of coffee, or turns on the lights, a little bit of waste is generated, even if you don't see it. Carbon accounting works in much the same way, only instead of tracking bags of garbage, you're measuring invisible emissions linked to everyday business operations. The basics start with 3 categories, often called scopes. Scope 1 covers emissions you have direct control over, like the fuel burned in your company vehicles or the on-site gas heating. Scope 2 records emissions indirectly created by the electricity, steam, heating, or cooling your organization buys from others. Scope 3 is the broadest, covering all other indirect emissions, from the production of materials you purchase, to business travel, to how your products are used and eventually disposed of by your customers. A useful way to visualize this is like ripples in a pond. The stone you throw, Scope 1, is closest and most visible. Scopes 2 and 3 spread farther out, capturing a wider range of activities connected to your business. The ripple analogy makes clear that everything, even if it feels far away, still has an impact on your carbon tally. How do companies calculate these numbers? It starts with data, collecting information about energy bills, transportation, how much is spent on manufacturing, travel, and so on. Each activity is matched with a standard emissions factor, a scientific estimate of how much carbon is produced per mile driven, per kilowatt hour used, or per ton of product purchased. When you add it all together, you get a total figure, often expressed in metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent, or CO2e. This single number helps you track emissions over time and pinpoint areas for improvement. But what does this mean for a non-technical buyer? Think of carbon accounting as a valuable business tool, not unlike financial accounting. It's not just about being green, it's about managing risk, saving on costs, complying with regulations, and standing out in a market where customers and investors are paying more and more attention to sustainability. For example, if you discover that a significant portion of your carbon footprint comes from employee commuting, you might implement incentives for carpooling or remote work. If the bulk comes from electricity use, you might consider energy-efficient lighting or switching to renewable energy. Every improvement not only reduces your footprint, but can also lead to lower expenses and a stronger reputation. Carbon accounting also enables informed decision-making. Should you switch suppliers? Should you invest in new technology? Should you redesign your products for easier recycling? When you have clear numbers, priorities become evident and progress is measurable. Finally, it's important to remember that no one expects perfection on day one. The purpose of carbon accounting isn't to assign blame. It's to provide clarity, direction, and momentum. Every organization, no matter its size, can take steps, big or small, to understand, manage, and reduce its environmental impact. By focusing on simple data and actionable insights, businesses can start their carbon journey without feeling overwhelmed. With the right guidance and tools, carbon accounting becomes not just a reporting exercise, but a strategic advantage for a more responsible, resilient future.